joining me this morning. I'm Sherry Schweitzo, Director of Financial Services here at Regency Oaks. I welcome you all. I'm sure some of you have already in prior years have attended my presentation, and welcome to all of you that this is your first time around. And we do this every year. You will get a 30-day written notice about what exactly your January 1st increase is, but as a community, I want to be fully transparent on how we come up with our budget and where your monthly service fee goes. So today's topic is for the January 1st, 2026 annual monthly service fee increase. I say that because we have a small portion, about 18% of the community, that has some older contracts, and those rates were already increased September 1st. So if you received, you're welcome to stay here. If you did get a September 1st increase, you would have received that already, but this increase does not apply to you. So I don't want folks to think they're getting 2 increases in less than 12 months. Very sweet. Yeah. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so where do we begin? Budgeting is what we do a lot of work with. We start in July, August, and September to help project what our needs are for the coming year. So we have to balance our goals, which is profits, against our challenges, which is our economic costs year over year that change. We have to align our mission, which is our owners, and the vision. What do we want Regency Oaks to look like the next year and beyond? And so we have to, all of this combined creates a foundation for organizational success. So we have to focus on what I call 3 core constituents. That means we have a responsibility to you, our residents, and the families, your families. Our employees, we have a large responsibility to our employees. We need to attract and retain good employees. We have over 300 employees on staff, not all necessarily full-time, but over 300. And so we want to make sure we offer a fair wage. We want to increase our benefits. We want to be the #1 go-to employer in the area and retain these folks. And then we have our shareholders, because as you know, we're owned by a publicly traded company, and they have profit goals, and then they want to pay dividends to their shareholders. So we are for profit, and we have that responsibility to be a successful entity year over year. So, getting back to our strategy on budgeting. So, we do look beyond 1 year. We actually do a 5-year projected budget. Of course, all the details disseminated to you are for the next 12 months, and of course that will change year over year, but we do a 5-year budget. So we have to look beyond occupancy, consumer price index, challenges, wages. So we have to make sure those things are in alignment to support our organization's mission and the priorities we just spoke about. We do collaborate across all departments. We collaborate with our management company, and as you know, Life Care Services manages the whole portfolio, and they've won the J.D. Powell Award for Customer Service. And so what that tells me is that for us to be good, they have to be just as good and really push us to always be improving. We can't do the same thing year over year and expect the same results. So many things are changing out there with retirees retiring earlier, different types of amenities, different interests, all kinds of things that go into that collaboration with our regional support. And then of course we have Peak, who sits and does crunch the numbers for us, and they're looking as well at new entrance fees, how to make the apartments better. So they're looking even at the new move-ins and collaborate with us on our budget. So they challenge us, you know, we make certain assumptions, we try to verify and validate every year, year over year, and then, you know, that poses questions on how can we get over those hurdles? What are our pros? What are our cons? These are things, this is why we do resident surveys as well, to really, really know and understand what you want and what we need to provide you. And that's where we want to give 5-star quality of care. We want to be the Ritz-Carlton, and we always have to be looking to improve. So, where does your monthly service fee go? It's cash in, and it's cash out for our operating expenses. So, our costs outpace the consumer price index, and I'll show you a little table going on. So, consumer price index, also known as CPI, that's how I'll refer. It comes out every single month. We look at a year-over-year change, not month-over-month change, to incorporate into your budget, because we're budgeting for a 12-month period. Now, CPI measures the change in prices you pay for goods and services. However, and it also reflects spending patterns, so you can see year over year what changes. However, the largest component that CPI does not cover is our labor costs. CPI only projects inflation of our market good, our basket of market goods that come to the door. Let's just say, think about the food that gets delivered. That's, you know, I can do an inflationary increase year over year. We know there's a lot of reports out there that tell us food costs. What that doesn't measure is all of those employees that stock the food, prepare the food, serve the food, clean the dishes, none of that's included. So that part of our budget is probably close to 70% of our operating costs. It's one of our largest costs. So this is where we do an increase that's higher than CPI. So, September's publication of CPI actually came out Friday, this past Friday. It was a week late. However, we are using, because we have plenty of 60 days notice to give to you. If it had come out next week, we would have had to use a different month. This is the same month we always use year over year. Our other communities use August, but when Peak bought us, we maintained that consistency. And learned recently that if we did want to change that, and that's, you know, that it could be good or it could be bad, but it would have to be approved by the OIR along with Peak. So your contracts state that it's the most recently published CPI, and there's probably 35 pages to this. So it's table number 4, and it's the CPI for all urban consumers. It breaks it down even to the South region, size Class A, word for word in your contract. And so that percentage, year-over-year change, so we're looking at September of last year to September of this year, was 2.3%. That's what CPI was. Keep in mind, that does not include my expenses for wages. So, again, this is only for January 1st increases. Verbatim for your contract, the increase shall not be greater than the sum of CPI, which is 2.3, of the South region, plus up to an additional 2%. And I will show you where that extra 2% is going. So it was just published, like I said, on Friday. It was 2.3. So we're experiencing higher inflation because of my wages. So I need more money to operate successfully than a 2.3% increase. So we're going to do the full 2%, which is really standard because our wages, we try to increase at least 3% just for wage alone. That's not even including benefits, which can be even higher. So your increase will be 4.3%, effective January 1st. You'll get a letter in your box on Friday, and it will list your current rate, how much it's going up by specific dollars, and what your new rate is going to be. So each one of you have your own personalized individual letter, first person and second person if applicable, and you'll have the exact figures. Okay? So, here's a little bit of data, briefly looking year over year, which was most recently published, available. You can see that food has gone up. When you look at individual categories, you'll see higher percentages and lower percentages. So you can see my food cost is actually up by 6.9%. Weight means almost 9% of my budget goes to food. Insurance, 4% increase. That's not too terrible considering everything that we've gone through. Utilities, we've done a good management on projecting what we spent last year to this year, and it's only going up an estimated 2.3%. Property taxes almost 4%, and so when you look at hourly wages, salary wages, and benefits, overall inflation is 3.5. So if you add the 2.3 and the 3.5, you're getting, that's higher than your 4.3 increase. But I can only go up to 4.3%. So this is where I'm explaining to you where your monthly service fee goes. It's all for operations, for all of these categories. So, again, just summarizing how we implement our budget. We factor in our labor with market adjustment and wage increases. We actually do a study on all positions to make sure that we are competitive in our metro area. Are we underpaying certain positions? Then we will budget to bring that up to be a more fair and equitable wage to attract and retain strong employees. Non-controllable costs are accounted for. Non-controllable is we have to pay the insurance, we have to pay the taxes. Those are things that we just have to accept based on our renewals. Then we also look at what kind of profit we're making, and that's where Peak, our owners, are gonna look at, okay, well, how much then, when we present to them our wish list for our capital projects, our mandatory and extras, that gives them an idea how much money they could be able to reinvest back in the property, the community. And for those of you, I've been here 9 years. Peak has always been part of our ownership, but Peak has always been our capital infusers. So I feel that they are looking out for us in our best interest, and feel that they've proven that year over year. So that's where we're balancing the mission and the margin, which is our profitability. So I ask of you as ways to look to be more efficient, many more eyes and ears on the property community than just the staff. I look to you to use your ideas and communicate them. We want to be better. We want you to feel like we're being responsible for you and the community. And sometimes we might not see something. If you're at the end of the hallway and, you know, there's a light bulb out, don't assume we see it. I'd rather a worker to go in and get it fixed right away. You know, things like that. But we also have our committees. So you don't have to join every committee. You don't have to be on the committee, but it's very helpful. All of you come to the table with your years of experience in the industries that you've worked. And we also have platforms for open conversation. So if you don't want to be on the committee for food and beverage, come to the Dish Talk. That's where communication, constructive criticism is well taken. Go to those, and it might not be every week that you need to go, but if something comes up, that's your platform to start the conversation, so that then we can take it up and help make this community better and make everyone here be more satisfied. So, you are our leverage because you bring a lot of experience to the table. And that way then you're adopting an ownership mentality, have skin in the game, you know? You think something is not quite right, or something needs to be repaired, or any of that. I encourage you, again, to join the committee, go to the platforms of open discussion, send an email, go through the Regency Oaks app, send an email, you know? And we do strive to stay on top of all of those suggestions. So, the other thing that you all can do to help offset your increase our occupancy and stabilize our community is refer your friends, and we pay you a referral fee. It's just as simple as that. One a year can offset your annual monthly service fee increase. So really, really do encourage it. Even if you have friends, we know everybody says we're not ready yet. So get them on the mailing list. Could be another 2 or 3 or 4 years, and with your name on it, when that decision's made, we'll pay you the referral fee. So that's our budget process. That's how we come up with our numbers. The CPI index plus our operating costs establish what your increase is going to be year over year. Any questions?
I'd like to know what happens to the buy-in money, which I'm sure is invested in the market, must be making 10 to 15%. Why is that income used to defray some of the costs?
Certainly. So, no, it's not invested. It's cash. It's cash flow. It's cash flow to operate the community. Monthly service fee depends on occupancy. Maybe we're budgeted for a higher amount. It's cash in and cash out. It pays the bills. It also pays the refunds that are due for folks that have a contract that are no longer here and get a refund. So it's used for cash flow. Our balance sheet carries 2 notes receivable for about $11 million, and that money is required for the OIR, by the OIR, in the minimum liquid reserve. And what that is that if, for some reason, Regency Oaks claimed bankruptcy, then those funds get used to operate the community, pay back any refunds that people would want if they moved out, and it's not attachable by creditors. So your investment is protected in that way. We use the cash to run our operations. Mike?
What reserves are you required to have?
Well, every year that changes, and $11 million is the reserve for this year. So at the end of our fiscal year, and we report quarterly to the OIR, so they really do a lot of governing. We can't change our contracts without their approval, and we update our financials quarterly with them, and they review them. And then annually, we do a final year end, and then depending on occupancy, we'll increase that minimum liquid reserve. There's a whole very long formula that's involved, and it's updated every year. Does that answer your question? Yes, so it's gone up a couple million over the years that I've been here. So mainly because our occupancy is up, costs are higher, all of these factors are here, and that's how we are protecting your lifetime investment for your lifetime here as you continue through our care continuum.
What is your rate of occupancy increase currently?
Well, occupancy today is 353 apartments on a budget, no, 363 today on a budget of 357. So we're ahead of budget. That equates to 93% occupancy, 385 is our total. So I think Lindsay spoke about Road to 95, and we are projecting to be at 95% occupancy by first quarter of next year.
Good.
So that really stabilizes the community. That's the term that people use, stabilized occupancy. So again, you'll get your letters on Friday. If you want to have a sit down and meet one-on-one to go over your contract benefits, I do that quite frequently. Some folks say, I've been here a few years, how's it work again? What are my free days? What's my cap rate? What if I want to downsize? You know, we'll sit down and talk one-on-one with all of those questions that you have. You have questions, sir?
As I understand it,
You're good. I just put it close to your mouth. You're good.
Put it by your mouth.
Just hold it close.
Just hold it close. You're good.
Hold it to your mouth.
as I understand it, can you hear me?
I'll repeat the question.
Yeah. A corporate has a management company to help with the management, as I understand it.
Yes, sir.
What are their fees and what kind of increase or?
Certainly. So the question is, our ownership is Peak, and they hired the management. They've hired the management company, Life Care Services, and they have an individualized contract between Peak and Life Care Services for their earnings. Those contracts, and I've been in healthcare a long time, all management company contracts are based on earned revenue. So it's not a flat fee. So if a community is making, and let's say a ballpark figure, an average is 5%. That's generally the industry standard, 5% of earned revenue. So if we're under budget and under revenue, they don't earn as much. And that's how it works. That's how they have their skin in the game, because then when we make more revenue that's budgeted, they get a higher amount of money earned because I've earned more money too. So very industry standard. And they negotiate their contracts every other year or every year. I'm not even sure. They don't keep us apprised on their contracts. But they include that amount in the budget. So please call me. If you have any questions, expect your letter on Friday. There is going to be a secondary letter coming out for select services. And those are the little trifold brochure, and I'm going to attach it to the letter this year. Those are prices of things above and beyond what we offer at Regency Oaks. It might be specialty dining. It does outline our IHS, private duty rates. Anything that might be an additional charge will be outlined there, and that will go into effect January 1st. I have a question over here. So what are we doing to conserve energy costs? Well, we've already installed LED lighting around the community. All the new apartments being renovated are going to LED lighting, and that's the current project.
The temperatures seem to be very cold in some corridors and others they're not. I'm just wondering if there can be some remedy to that.
So with the corridors, some are colder, some are warmer, some need to be replaced. But something that we found here is that keeping the corridors too warm and your apartments too warm creates an unhealthy environment as far as too much humidity, possible mold. You gotta keep the air circulating and not the windows open 24/7. Yes, ma'am.
There's been a push also for administration to look at our water usage because it takes so long to get hot water. We were losing gallons and gallons So that is being looked at, and hopefully we'll have an answer pretty soon.
Yes, so bring that up on Tuesday talk. I know Lindsay has addressed the hot water situation there. So, I thank you for coming, and I hope this was informative. Please call me personally, and be happy to sit down one-on-one with each of you. Thank you for coming.